Doofenshmirtz and Hawk Moth basically do the same thing. They fail all the time, repeat the same plans, and always end up losing. So why is one so loved while the other is considered the worst garbage to ever exist? Well friends, in this video you're getting the answer. So get ready to keep hating Hawk Moth even more. Let's start with the beloved Doofenshmirtz, the scientist who thinks he's evil. Doofenshmirtz is living proof that not every villain is born to be scary. Some are born just to entertain you, and he does it without even trying. First of all, his plans don't feel like global threats. They feel like rejected ideas from a middle school science fair. And that's exactly his charm. Instead of worrying about how terrible his plans might be, you're just wondering what kind of nonsense he'll come up with next. Which is a huge plus to keep you entertained and him not being predictable. Now, Doofenshmirtz is special because he doesn't rely on telling jokes like an idiot non-stop. His personality itself is the joke. He leans into that dry, awkward humor, and that's why everything he says actually lands. Even when he tries to be serious, he ends up being funny. He has this talent for ruining his own threats with a single sentence. And of course, how could we forget his iconic line, "'Cause you bury the platypus!" That doesn't sound like something a cold-hearted evil villain would say. It sounds more like someone who just smashed their pinky toe. And that, my friends, is cinema. Also, it's not like you hear the name Doofenshmirtz and immediately feel the urge to run for your life. But hey, Doofenshmirtz isn't just comedy. And here's the part nobody expects the first time they see him. His origin story is actually depressing. Because behind every failed invention, there's a pretty tragic childhood. Doofenshmirtz was an ignored kid, constantly feeling replaced and forgotten, especially while being overshadowed by his successful brother. So basically Doofenshmirtz is as charismatic as he is because of the tragic life he lived. It's like he's laughing at his own pain just to forget the trauma of his childhood. So you watch him and you laugh, but at the same time you completely understand why he is like this. And at the end of the day, Doofenshmirtz doesn't want to take over the world. He wants to feel useful and prove that he can achieve things if he really tries. He wants someone to look at him and say, "Hey man, that guy is a Sigma Alpha male. He's got a lot of talent." The poor guy is just a frustrated dreamer who chose the wrong way to express himself. And let's be honest, who hasn't felt like that at least once? Who hasn't felt like there's always someone more successful in the family? Someone who does everything right, while you are still stuck in the same place you were 20 years ago. That's why everyone connects so easily with Mr. Doofenshmirtz. Now, let's talk about a key point. His relationship with Perry the Platypus. In theory, they should be arch-enemies. But if you actually watch them throughout the series, they feel more like two good friends who know each other way too well. And in case you hadn't noticed, despite their differences, these two genuinely respect and care about each other. Perry always shows up to stop his plans, but not with hatred. More like, "Bro, you again?" There are moments where Doofenshmirtz gets more upset because Perry ruined his plan than because he lost. There are episodes where they team up, help each other, and feel like solid co-workers. That dynamic completely breaks the hero-villain cliché and adds real depth to the relationship. Then there's the topic of fatherhood. Like it or not, we have to admit that Doofenshmirtz is actually a great dad. He's better than most of our dads. Yeah, I said it. Sure, he's clumsy and distracted, but he's genuinely loving. He loves Vanessa, listens to her, respects her, and never tries to force her down his path. When it comes to her, he drops the evil act instantly. And that confirms something really important. Doofenshmirtz isn't evil by nature. He's playing the villain because he thinks that role is what gives him recognition. And that's why he's so loved. He's not some cheap villain whose only purpose is destruction and fear. Doofenshmirtz fails, learns, and when it matters, does the right thing. Even in the movie, it's clear that if he wanted to, he could be a hero. The villain label is basically a joke he created for himself, and that's why he's loved despite being a villain, even though we all know he really isn't one. He has a lot going for him, compared to Hawk. So now, let's move on to Hawk Moth. We'll mainly focus on his version from the series, which is easily the most hated one. Hawk Moth is a villain who, even though he has an interesting concept, suffers from one massive problem: a complete lack of charisma. Hawk Moth is cold, serious, rigid. He almost feels like a robot. His tone of voice, facial expressions, and the way he interacts with others create a huge emotional distance. And honestly, he just comes off as unlikable. There are no memorable lines, no moments where you think, okay, that actually hit. While other villains stick with you because of their personality, Hawk Moth stays trapped in the same boring villain role. And let's be real, seeing that every single episode gets annoying fast. Switch it up, man! Give us something else, right? And I'm not saying being a cold, distant villain is bad. It's just that in Hawk Moth's case, it's terribly executed. Just look at villains like the wolf from Puss in Boots. Damn, that guy's a real villain. Even Mojo Jojo does a better job playing the miserable bad guy role. Now, add to that the extreme repetition of his villain goal. From the very beginning, his objective is clear: get the miraculous from Ladybug and Cat Noir. And well, the problem isn't the goal. It's how he goes after it. Episode after episode, it's the exact same formula. He finds someone frustrated, akumatizes them, waits for them to do the dirty work, and when it fails, he acts shocked, as if the same thing hasn't happened 56 times already. There's zero real thought put into winning. No twists or no surprises. And that kills any tension and turns the villain into something completely predictable and boring. On top of that, his methods don't help at all. Hawk Moth rarely faces the heroes directly. He prefers manipulating others like a straight-up coward, exploiting people's emotions and putting innocent lives in danger just so he doesn't have to take risks himself. For many viewers, that doesn't make him smarter. It makes him weak. He feels like someone who's never willing to pay the price for his own decisions. And this brings us to the most criticized point of all: his double life as a father. Gabriel Agreste, in the identity he proudly shows the world, is a famous designer. Serious, composed, and supposedly responsible. But in secret, he constantly puts his own son in danger without him even knowing it. That contradiction hits hard. He's not the classic villain who sacrifices everything for his goal. He's someone who says one thing and does the opposite. All talk, no backbone. And yes, that's cowardly. The problem gets worse because Hawk Moth never questions whether he's actually doing the right thing. Not even a moment of self-criticism to help him grow or at least come up with better plans. He never stops to ask if his decision is worth the damage he causes. And when he fails, he doesn't learn. He keeps doing the same thing like a stubborn tantrum-throwing kid. That makes him look more stupid than intelligent. Like he's never even heard the word strategy. All of this makes his story feel completely stuck. There's no real development, just dumb plans that we already know how they're gonna end. And in such a long-running series, that gets exhausting. He's not hated because he's terrifying. He's hated because his personality is frustrating and keeps repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And here's the key difference between the two. Doofenshmirtz fails, and that failure helps him grow as a character. Hawk Moth fails and stays exactly where he is. Doof laughs at himself. Hawk Moth takes himself way too seriously. Doof creates sympathy. Hawk Moth makes you want to turn off the TV. And that's why one is loved and the other is hated. It's not about power, design, or even the base story. It's about strategy. Doofenshmirtz feels like a real person, while Hawk Moth feels like an idea that was never fully developed. So, if you ever wondered why everyone wants Doofenshmirtz as a dad and throws poop at Hawk Moth, there's your answer. One connects, the other is just repetition. And at the end of the day, in animation, just like in life, we prefer characters that make us feel something, even if it's just laughter at how pathetic they can be. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and share.